Okay, all right, does anybody know what the name of this place is?
That's Africa. I know that.
That's right, that's Africa. But did you know that Africa is the place where the body of the first man was found? My daddy says that makes it the place where all people originated from. That means everybody's really from Africa. Everybody. All y'all.
Africa is not our home.
What foodstuffs that you talking about? That's African. I ain't no African. I'm American.
Like it or not, you from Africa.
She.
I said at this gathering of the masters, Africa is not your home. It's not our home. But I know my roots. And I ain't Kunta Kinte.
A woman knows. When you feel it, a woman knows. I ain't wrong. These results are going to determine everything today.
Really?
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
When I was reading to prepare for this interview, I was quite surprised to see you use the word Aborigines talking about African Americans.
Talk about race relations issues, things like that. I mean, I have a freedom that a lot of people don't have because of that.
Because you used the word Aborigine.
Because I've been through the fire.
I mean, you get politically correct. Stuff happens that you don't want to happen. I all of a sudden became an African. Political correctness, African American. I'm not African. I'm American.
I'm tired of being labeled. I'm an American. I'm not an African American. I'm an American.
I'm not African American. I'm an American. Born and raised. And as soon as you hyphenate it, it means I'm not a full American. I'm not really an American. You know. And it also means that other people can say, go back to your country. No, baby. This is my country.
I'm Chuck Berry.
Would you welcome Mr. Chuck Berry?
Get
down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans.
Let me see some ID.
ID.
This license says you're Indian.
Clues to the identity of the first Americans are emerging in rock shelters in the northeast and southeast of Brazil. And this is the oldest of them all, the skull of a young woman nicknamed Luthia by scientists. Can she tell us who the first Americans were? Walter Neves is a physical anthropologist at Sao Paulo University in Brazil. He's been using a standard and reliable archaeological measure, the shape of the skull, to find out what race she belonged to. He fully expected Luthia to be a Mongoloid, an ancestor of the American Indians.
901.
But then he fed the measurements into the computer.
When we started running the computer and seeing the results, it was amazing because we realized that the statistics, the quantitative analysis we were doing was not showing just people to be Mongoloid. In fact, the analysis was showing just people as anything except Mongoloid.
So who was Luthia? And where did she come from? The skull was taken to a hospital in Rio de Janeiro to begin the process of reconstructing her face.
That, to me, is a Negroid face that has all the features that you associate with a Negroid face. The proportions of the face, it doesn't say anything about it being a Mongoloid.
Her reconstruction is confirmed by measurements Walter Nevis has taken of all his skulls.
The first reaction was not to believe in it. But as the results, repeated so many times, and the result is exactly the same thing. They are very similar to nowadays Aborigines and Africans, and no similarity at all with Mongoloids in Asia or with American Indians.
If you look at pictures from the 1900s and beyond, most of the Native American people were very dark-skinned. Sometimes they were very jet black. But most Native American people before 1900, if you look at photos of them, they're extremely dark-skinned people. In the late 1800s, there was something called the Dawes Rolls, which was basically a census that made records of people's ethnic backgrounds in order to determine which Native American tribes would get certain land allotments and other benefits. After slavery, many black people were associated with some of these tribes by bloodline, through marriage, through adoption, and even servitude. And because they were associated with these tribes, many black people were entitled to some of these benefits. The government did not want blacks to get these benefits, so they created a separate freedmen's list specifically for black people. They also started to list any full-blooded Native American who had African features as black because they didn't want them getting those benefits either. At the same time, they allowed white citizens to come in and pay money under the table to be listed as part Native American.
1895 and 1896, when a lot of the whites found out the benefits that these blacks are going to be entitled to, a lot of whites went to the Dawes Commission and say, look, why don't you put my name on there? They said, but you're not an Indian. So that's what they said, well, I'll give you $5. So then the rule got around, the policy got around that for $5, that a white could put his name on the Dawes rolls and be called himself an Indian and be entitled to all these benefits, and all their children could be entitled to all these benefits forever. And so that became known as what's called a $5 Indian. And so if you go around now and check most of the Indians, the so-called Indians in America, about 90% of them are not even Indians. Those are just whites now who are passing as Indians. But they're getting all the benefits. And they're not paying any taxes, getting free college education. They put up a little reservation on the land that they don't live on. They have another home off and get all kind of benefits.
Iron Eyes Cody was another famous Native American person. He was in the media for years. In the 1970s, they utilized him for this pollution commercial. He was known as the Crying Indian. So he was a very well-known Native American in American culture. But the reality is, Iron Eyes Cody wasn't Native American at all. He was Sicilian. Both of his parents were from Sicily. So he didn't have one drop of Native American blood in him. He was another fake Indian.
Right now, most of the Negro leaders sell out to the white politicians for crumbs.
Talking about none other than the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Good to be here, too.
This is just another cog in the wheel of deception.
The people that are the true Americans in this country call themselves African American, Negro, black, colored people.
The lie detector test determined you're telling the truth.
Told truth. Told truth. Told truth.
Were you trying to provoke anybody to do anything, or trying to get people to do things?
Yes.
Tell us what.
Think. Use your head.